Hello everybody, I'm here with Rene, Moller, who, as you know, coach John Isner for quite a bit on the tour. One of the best surf, and that's the topic of the day. And we have here Berg from Argentina, who is not as tall as John Isner right now, but he's working on it pretty hard, right?
His arms is fast, that's all that matters.
There you go, there you go. So it's important because, yeah, when you're tall, obviously the serve is a big weapon, but believe it or not, when you're small, you have to work on your serve quite a lot, not to get hurt that much by those big hitters and big returners. So Rene is going to give you a few tips. We're going to analyze, we're going to explain how the legs are very important, obviously for everybody, but for small players even more than for tall players in my mind. But I don't know what you think, Rene, on this topic to start.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, Bouncey's got a pretty good motion right now, so we're just going to try to clean up a few things, and I think we're going to spend a bit of time on his second serve actually, because you know, bottom line is you're only as good as your second serve. So you know, let's try to see if we can work a little bit on his kick and get a little bit more shape on it, and we'll see how it goes.
And you're going to see that both Rene and I, we're big fan on the legs and the way you work with your legs on the surf. You know, we believe that if everything what's done with the lower body is right, most of the time the rest comes in place. So, but I'll let Rene, the expert, talk on that. Enjoy.
All right, Bouncey, you want to go give us a few demos here?
Second serve.
Yeah, let's see some second serves. Good. So you can see he drags his back foot up, which you know, you have two different serves nowadays. You have the platform serve, which is what Djokovic does, which is what Federer does, where they don't drag the back foot up. You look at a lot of other players, Isner, Kevin Anderson, a lot of big servers, they slide their back foot up. So Bouncey's obviously a slider. You know, they both have positives and negatives, but you know, it really depends on what's right for you. And you know, we felt that, you know, the best thing for Bouncey to do was to slide his legs. We felt like it really helped him get a better rhythm and a better feel for what he was doing out there. So keep going here. Let's have a little look at it.
On Berg, I see here, keep serving Berg. I see here that if you look at the mark on the clay court, which is a big advantage, you can see his foot sliding from the inside of the court to the outside, not from here to here. Is that mainly because his position of the feet at the beginning, or?
Yeah, he's turned sideways a little bit more. You know, obviously we would prefer to have him have his, you know, foot going forwards a little bit more, so he can get a little bit more momentum and get his body weight really leaning into the court. You know, it's something we've worked on. He used to platform. He used to, actually, to be honest, he used to kind of be in between the two. He would sort of have a half slide. It was, you know, so we basically got to the point where he told him he needed to commit to one or the other, either a full slide or just go to a complete platform. So he made the decision that sliding was the way to go. So that's where we're at right now.
And then I see, which I'm a big fan, and you and I talked a lot. What I love about him when he finishes serve, he's really here,
yep.
And that foot there,
Yep.
which you know you can see
Absolutely.
from Sharapova and Djokovic. I mean,
Yep.
most of them.
Yep.
So why is that so important in your mind?
We call it a leg kick. It's basically a byproduct of your hips, your core, all your trunk rotation really snapping and loading. And then that's really just a natural reaction to what's going to happen. So, you know, just stand this way. Just stand. So, you know, if you're going to snap your hips and snap your core through, which you want to do on your serve, yeah, this is going to be a natural reaction of that. You know, so again, we really want to try to use the big dominant muscles in the body, the core, the glutes. You know, and if you're using those well, you're going to have a big natural leg kick. So let's see it, Bouncey. Show us the leg kick. Get it up as high as you can here, but really try to rotate through it with your hips here. That'll work.
When you frame, you are very close to the reality.
Right, look at that. Yep. Yeah. And try to hold your finish for one here. Let's see how long you can balance here when you land. Beautiful.
I love that. I really do. A big fan of that. To Rene's point, remember what he said just prior to this. He said the two most important muscles, he said, the glutes and the abs, which people forget. A lot of time they think about the legs and the calf and the shoulder and the arms, but yes, he's right. Here and there, very important.
Yeah, and like I said, it's really just that's a byproduct of those two working correctly. It's almost like a spring. When you coil the spring, it's going to snap back into position, and that's what we're kind of trying to do here, where you're trying to create resistance from the lower body with the upper body. And if you're doing that correctly, that leg kick should happen naturally without you really having to try to do it. Bounty obviously does a very good job of it, so he's a good little athlete.
Let's serve on the other side, and let's try to see a little bit what's happening with your arms and the wrist and all that. Can you go wide?
Show us some kicks here. Second serves. Good, good. Good. Show me the finish that we want here, where you stop up here, right? Where your wrist stops at the top that we've been working on. Yeah, good, good.
So again, Rene just said, let me see where you finish. And Rene, I see sometimes play, they're literally like actually going this way, right?
Yeah,
always
absolutely.
there and not coming back here. So what is what do you
Well, I mean, I can kind of demonstrate it for you and
Yes,
sort of
please.
show, and I worked with Sam Stozer for quite a while, and I mean, she probably arguably has the best kick serve on the women's tour. It's definitely something, weapon that she used. And if you look, if you slow down her serve and you look at it in slow motion, her arm is actually finishing on the right side of her body. So you'll essentially get that look on the finish, right? And you can see the ball's kicking a lot just with my arm, just with my wrist, just with my snap. So you almost want to feel like you have some recoil. So you want to feel like your wrist is snapping so hard out to the right that it's almost having to recoil back again. It's not an easy thing to get. It's something you really have to spend a lot of time on. And one thing I do a lot is I just isolate the upper body. Like you can see, I was doing there. I wasn't using my legs at all. I was just taking a half motion and really just work on trying to be as loose and relaxed and really trying to get as much acceleration with your hand as possible.
So I like tips, and sometimes some visual that helps. So I had a coach in Belgium, I'm originally from Belgium, that was taking an old racket and he was saying, do the exercise without a ball and throw the racket in the side fence, basically over there. And basically you throw the racket this way. And it's really interesting because that's actually the right movement. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and another tip, I remember my first coach when I was a kid, his name was David Branks. He used to tell me, imagine the ball is Pinocchio. You've got two eyes and a nose and you're trying to hit the nose and the right eye every time. So that way essentially you're brushing from left to right on the ball. Where most people, want to come across the side of it, or come over the top of it. It's quite unnatural to go from left to right on the serve. So again, imagine you've got two eyes and a nose and you're trying to hit the nose and the right eye and brush both of them off. That was what he would always tell me. So it's a good visual to think of.
Yeah, no, for sure. I would like to finish because we don't want this sequence to be too long and boring. But can you do one more time a kick serve? Let's see how he finished. So let's focus on his feet. So one more. Which is, he did actually very good. So you can see a lot of players when they do that, you ask and on the second serve kick out wide, trying to toss a little bit more around, 10, 11. A lot of players by doing this, they're falling this way, Rene.
Yep.
So what is important is the way you fall back on the ground afterwards. What do you try to focus, because that's a natural thing to do, but you still want to come back. So what type of?
Well, I mean, look. Let me sort of talk a little bit about the trends in serving now. I was taught, and I'm sure Pascal was taught, first serve, toss it out in front, slice serve, toss it out to the right, kick serve, toss it way back over your head. Yes, and obviously it's easier to hit those serves with those tosses, but if you look at all the best servers, the best players in the world now, they essentially have one ball toss that they rely on. It's slightly more back, it's a little bit more on top of your head, so I would call it more of a second serve ball toss, that they hit a slice serve, they hit a flat serve, they hit a kick serve, they can hit pretty much every spin from that position. You know, and it's really all about disguise. You know, you look at Federer as a prime example, not the biggest guy, not the fastest server, but you know, one of the most effective serves on tour, and that's simply because you can't read where he's going to go, because the ball toss is exactly the same every single time, and it's just a question of him changing the angle of his wrist and his hand with what type of serve he's trying to hit. So, you know, Bouty we saw was, you know, sort of falling off to the left a little bit, and that's, you know, he was tossing it a little too far back just to make it easier to hit that kick serve. And you know, we're not concerned about what's easier, we're concerned about what's going to be most effective. You know, when you're playing in a tournament, when you're trying to win matches, and that's that's obviously the most important thing. So again, you know, a big trend, like I said, I'm seeing is you look at most of the guys on tour now, they pretty much have one ball toss that they rely on for first and second serves.
Also, I think if you have only one ball toss, it's much harder for the opponent to read where you're going to serve, right?
No question. And look, under pressure, 5-all in the third set, you're tired, you're a little nervous. You want to have that simple ball toss that you can rely on. You know, when you've got 3 different ball tosses, something's, you know, bound to break down.
And to finish again, not to falling on the left. I think the abs, the glutes are going to be key.
Absolutely.
And well, Rene, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bouty.
And
Thank you.
guys, don't forget, believe in the challenge.